Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flower Power Weekly Plant Wisdom. Today is December 21st, 2020. I think last week I said November 14th, but today's December 21st. And this week we will be talking about plant pine and other evergreens. So, Flower Power is a community of people that are interested in learning more about the healing power of plants. My name is Allison McGill, and I am an herbalist, an educator, and an ecologist, and I love everything plant related. So I've been studying plant allies and how to work with plant medicine for my whole life, pretty much. And so thank you for coming and sharing this with me. So today is December 21st, and it's the Winter Solstice, and this is the shortest day of the year, and many rituals and celebrations are happening right around this time of year. Obviously, Christmas and a lot of other both religious and earth-centered celebrations. So this has been a focus for millennia. So, and it's not really surprising that Christian religions and other many of the big religions, they have light related celebrations this time of year, returning the light as the light returns to as the days lengthen. So but today is a rare solstice, because today is what is happening is that it's the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn, known as the Great Conjunction, and they have not been this close to each other for, I think it's like 700 years or something. So at the same time, they're also entering the sign of Aquarius. So do you remember that musical Hair? This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Well, this is really it. Okay, so that was the dawning. This is the actual age of Aquarius starting today. And what that means is pretty cool. Aquarius is an air sign, so this means that we're now getting more into thinking about who we are as a combination of a human and a divine spiritual being. And there is the energy of new beginnings, and we can feel this restlessness. It's been happening for a while in 2020, and everyone, I think, is very much ready for some change. So instead of drawing a card, like I said, I decided to just choose a plant that I thought was really appropriate for this time of year, and that's why I chose pine. We bring evergreens of all sorts into our house this time of year for celebrations, and it's really keeps that piece of nature for us. It kind of tells us, you know what, things are still really alive, even though I don't know where you live, but I've got like 1.5 feet of snow. So it's very nice to have some greens inside. And the term evergreen really just means any plant that does not drop all its leaves and go completely dormant during the winter months. But I'm specifically talking more about what we call conifers, and that means a type of plant that has needles and also has a type of cone, conifer cone. And so that's why I decided to choose pine today. Junipers are somewhat related, but today I'll be talking about pine. So in my area, and I brought some little show and tell for you today. This is the eastern white pine. This is what grows around where I live, as well as hemlock. And then there's also balsam fir and spruce that grow up north of where I am in the mountains. And these are plants that keep their greenery all year. It's kind of like they know, hey, I don't need to drop this all. I know the sun's coming back. I know that spring will be on its way. So one of the things that's really cool about pine, where's my other little sample, is that you can see on here that they don't have a big broad leaf, and so they have these teeny tiny little needles, and white pine has very small needles compared to many other pines. And so instead of having a big broad leaf, what they have is a bunch of needles all kind of working together to make a broad leaf to absorb light and to bring in the carbon dioxide and oxygen that they need to survive. So those are called fascicles, and it is definitely a unique aspect of pine and other conifers. So medicinally, pines and other conifers have many, many different uses. You can just tell by the smell of them that there's something nutritional or something healing about that smell. So even just the smell makes me feel good. And so the oils, you can use either an essential oil or an infused oil. Infused oil is when you basically cut up the plant, you soak it in usually olive oil for 2 to 4 weeks, and you just let all the oils from the plant soak into the olive oil, and then you can make something out of it. I love to make a pine salve, which is basically, it's kind of like a nature's Vaseline, and it's just olive oil beeswax with the pine has been infused in there, and it smells so good, and it makes an excellent lip balm. So I use it for everything, cuts, wounds. It has antiseptic properties, and I've even used it a couple of times when my chickens got attacked by something, and I used it on their wounds and helped heal them up super fast. So native peoples didn't have necessarily olive oil, so they would just collect the resin, like if there was a broken branch and it would be oozing out or something, they would just collect the sap directly, use that on a wound for like closing up a deep wound or something like that. So the pine needles and the bark of these small branches, they can be infused into a tea, and it's really useful for colds and bronchial. It's got a lot of vitamin C, so it's immune boosting, and which is another good reason to work with this plant this time of year. We all need our immune system a little bit of a boost when there's a lot of colds and flus and other unmentionables this year around. So pine is good for that as well. And one of the things I found out when I was researching this was that the pollen, the pollen that like spreads all over the place and gets all over your car windshield, is one of the most nutritious parts of the plant. So you can go out and collect pollen in the spring, collect little male catkins, and create a tincture out of that. And another thing is that the cone, the conifer, this is a white pine cone, each one of these has a little seed in it, which is the pine nut. Those are super nutritious, edible, if you can get them before the squirrels or the other critters do. So this is like a fancy seed pod. Each one of those has a nutrition, so it's edible as well. And the other thing I saw was that someone had made a honey, like a pine-infused honey, which sounds just so delicious. So I might have to try that. The flower essence is usually made from Scots pine, and this essence is for people who really struggle with self-acceptance. They are constantly taking the blame for everything, even things that they didn't even do. They have a lot of guilt. They're always apologizing, and so pine helps them to feel like, you know what, it's okay. I can accept these parts about myself. I have these faults, but I accept them, and I'm okay with it. So I think this is perfect for this time of the year when we're going to be spending a lot of time, or we traditionally spend time reflecting back on the year prior to, and we are wondering about, wow, did we do the things we should have done this year? Did we live our life the way that we should have? And so what it's telling us is that we need to resist the urge to, be disappointed in ourselves and not to feel guilty that things didn't happen, especially in 2020. I mean, I think this is a really good message. The Flower Essence Society Repertory, which is the kind of the go-to book for flower essences, has this to say about pine. Pine helps the self to learn true forgiveness by quite literally being forgiving, like in favor of giving. Learning to give oneself nourishment rather than withholding love from oneself. Learning to release rather than to retain energy. So rather than holding on to those negative feelings, just let them go. So this year we have had to release an awful lot of expectations. We've had to learn to love ourselves in many ways that we never, ever could have imagined, right? All right, so because I didn't choose an oracle card for the plant, I just decided to go with the plant itself. I instead drew a card from this deck called the Akashic Oracle Visionary Deck by this woman, Mel Shapcott. And she is the most incredible, let's see, where are you? This is one of those cameras that flips everything around. So look at that beautiful artwork. So this is her artwork for the card, and then she has a message on the back of each card that she also wrote. And this card, the name of this card is Eyes Closed Opening. What was once asleep is now waking within you. Fragments of the dream begin to take shape and move gracefully into place. The transformation is effortless and as natural as breathing. Close your eyes and take a moment to notice what is stirring within. Open your eyes and see the visible signs of metamorphosis. What newness is dancing into your life? And I love this because it kind of reminds me of almost a bird's eye view of a pine cone. And let's stick this right in here so you guys can keep looking at it because it's so beautiful. Okay, stay. Yep. Or not. We'll see if it decides to stay up. It may fall down. Okay. So what is the overall message from Pine for this week? So this time of year, when the days are short, the times are, we really need some hope and comfort here. So Pine reassures us that nature is still very much alive. Pine reassures us that the seasons have shifted and spring is closer than we think. So the message is to just focus on developing your inner strength. The rest of the world is sleeping. Nobody's going to bug you. Do that. Just like an evergreen, you don't have to follow the rules of what everybody else is doing. You can continue to take energy from the sun, continue to grow even while others appear to die. So the symbolism is that the outer world can die while beneath the surface you are still alive. And this made me think about some things, all the stuff going on right now. And I started to, we've been thinking a lot about death this year. And it made me really think about more of the metaphorical death. So if you felt afraid to die, would it be because maybe you had not been living your life to your full potential? Maybe that you had not been living in a way to allow that to come through. Have you been living by somebody else's rules? So if something on the outside needs to die, something on the inside needs to die in order for you to get to serving your highest good, this is the beautiful time to do that. And that's what's happening here with the solstice. It's a time of rebirth and revisiting the energy of the current astrological energy is telling us it's new beginnings. It's a great time. So it's time to go ahead and let go. And then the oracle card is saying to us, well, you do have something inside. Something is stirring within you. And at this time of year, it's the perfect time to really let that to come out. So what is it that's growing in there? What's ready to be birthed from within you? Our body replaces cells. When the cell gets worn out, it dies and it's replaced by something new, a new vibrant cell. What kinds of ideas, what is going on, what needs to die about you so that something new can take its place. So recognize what wants to change and allow it. And as the light returns to the skies, then let the light return to your heart. That is the message of Pine for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me in this weekly plant wisdom. And if you are interested in getting deeper into learning about the healing properties of plant and joining a community of people who also are interested in the same thing, feel free to join my Facebook group called Flower Power, and I will put the link down below. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful week. Rejoice in the returning of the longer days, and enjoy whatever holiday you might be celebrating, the new year, and I wish you well. Bye-bye.